go.
Welcome to our newest exhibition here at the Peoria Art Guild. Jessica Bingham is here, and we have a lot of her paintings, which have not only a strong history, but they also have a wonderful abstract quality to them. Why don't you first introduce yourself, Jessica?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jessica Bingham. I'm an artist and curator in the area, and I also run the Space Project 1612 with my friend Alexander Martin.
And this body of work, which is called I Love You More Than You Do, is actually not a real ephemeral thing. It's actually a simple little statement that who told you?
So my daughter Finley likes to tell me that she loves me more than I love her. So it's always, I love you more than you do. And it's this little competition that she has. And so she feels like she has to.
And that's actually the basis for all this work, is about motherhood and parenting and building these relationships. And I think what's wonderful is that these are very raw in nature.
Yes.
That you've taken just regular raw canvas and sewed them together and constructed them and done all these things. How do you start your process?
Oh, okay, so I like to just do a big wash on the canvas. So I work with raw canvas and I paint almost like it's a watercolor, and I let it soak in, let the acrylic with water just soak into the paint or into the canvas, and then I just push the paint around. I make a really big open-ended surface, and then go back in with some of the smaller details. But I also cut the paintings apart and so
reconstruct them.
Reconstruction, exactly, yeah.
Well, and I love the fact that, and we will notice there's a lot of stripes, there's a lot of dots, and so we're going to just look at and examine some of these. I think this one is a great example of your motherhood, and you do also homeschool. Yes. And we have this wonderful, just crudely written alphabet, which is terrific. And the interesting thing to me is that so many of these have some actual pockets, and some are just cut holes so that we can do that. But we always are integrating nature and these flowers. Oh, so give us a backstory about those.
Yeah, well, we have a garden in our backyard, and we started that in 2020, like a lot of people did. And that just grew to become a part of my studio practice. And we also homeschool. And so adding elements of that into the painting is very important. So Finley, throughout the whole exhibition, preparing the exhibition, was very much a part of that and came down and helped in the studio. And this was the first piece that we started and initially was just her practicing her ABCs and then worked that into the painting. And I love this painting so much. And the flowers are collected from either the garden or from, I just had another baby, my baby Logan, and so some of the flowers that you see are gifts from having him, from going through that process again. Because in between my two kids, I had experienced some losses, and so that is also worked into this exhibition specifically over the last 2 years of how you grieve and mourn just
simple losses,
part of your life
that you really do.
Yeah, and then how intense motherhood can be. So, and homeschool as well.
Yeah. Well, and I think and obviously Finley has gotten a lot of influence just simply by watching Mom, because we have included one of her pieces here, bejeweled and all. Yeah. But it is wonderful, and I think she treated it just like you do. And it's wonderful to see that she's just making marks and she's just mixing color literally sometime on it. You know, and I think the freedom that she has doesn't really mimic the structure that you give to a lot of paintings, but I think in its own way they're very unique. It's very I don't know, it's childlike, but it's also a little sophisticated. Yeah, because there's a lot of matching of colors that really draw you into her little painting.
She had a great time talking about this with all her friends, so it was wonderful. Thank you for including her.
Well, and this one is actually probably one of your most rigid as far as patterns. Like, you have these wonderful vertical and horizontal stripes, and then you have truly a true pocket here. And this actually was the card image. So does this mean something special to you, or is it just, it's a very strong painting?
I thought it was a really strong painting. So a lot of these flowers, I think this bit specifically is some flowers that I had collected during the period of loss that I was going through. So yeah, I would say that it's a really important piece. And oftentimes if you see like a group of 4 dots together, that is in reference to my sisters, and they're becoming mothers in their own way. Some of them to dogs, some to babies, but that idea of bringing new life and being an educator, and so I
And
usually
see, I thought
include the 4 dots.
the 4 stripes or the 4 dots were your family unit.
Well, and now that very well could be too. Yeah, absolutely. I didn't think about that.
This piece in particular, Jeff and I, when we went to design the show and install it and everything, this piece was wonderful. I particularly love this shape, and I don't know where it came from, but it just fits so well on this square matrix, and then the dots are so perfect. But I have to say, it made it our favorite when you added these. I think they're peonies, aren't they? The peonies, these red, purplish peonies.
So the peonies, okay, this part of the painting is actually from, I believe it's from the summer that I became pregnant with Finley. And then, obviously, I made this whole expression while pregnant with my son. The peonies, the April moon is the peony moon, and so I had both of my children with the peony moon. So the peony flower is very important to my work. But this shape is supposed to reference just like the womb and holding. And
well, it's such a stark, strong shape, you know. And I love that this little peach or fleshy color is just to introduce just enough that it makes things really fun. Now,
I do love this piece.
One of the things that we have here is we have 4 pedestals with books on them, and these books are very special. Because these are not necessarily made by you. I mean,
no,
it was bound by you, but it wasn't made by you. Explain what you did with these.
During the baby shower, so Logan's my rainbow baby, and so we had this big rainbow disco ball baby shower that my friend Jackie put on for us. And at the shower, most everybody made a painting for Logan, and so I put together these baby books of different paintings made by grandparents and aunts and uncles and friends and lots of artists in our community. So this was a great
that people absolutely adore. And again, I think the show itself is so tactile, but this element of it is great because they can literally pick them up and they can do what they want.
Them. This was so fun to look through too.
And it is. And people have stopped to look really a lot. All of these tend to be, how did you arrive at how many flowers or which elements got flowers in them?
I just, over the last few years, have just been collecting so many from different times of my life. And so some of them are a little bit more specific than others. Like these 2 at the end, which we can get to, are very specific compared to some of the others where they're just more things collected from the gardens versus like from bouquets, given bouquets. And a lot of these marks too, like the polka dots, are supposed to reference like sowing the garden, like planting the seed and watching it grow. So.
And again, we have the 4.
There's the 4.
And these 2 do. I don't want to say stick out, but they are obviously different because first of all, they are so concentrated with the circular, the dot, the kind of mark making that you did on these. And what's the significance of these 2?
So, well, these 2, this painting, this part of the inside of the painting was actually part of this initially. So, and then I tore them apart and made them obviously separate. But the dots, again, it references working in the garden. And that idea of like healing through working with your hands in that way. These flowers, the blue specifically, come from the day we found out that he was a boy. So going to the doctor's that morning, and it was just like a very snowy morning. It was really beautiful. And then these sunflowers come from a bouquet my dad gave me after having him. So, and we grow so many sunflowers in our garden.
Yes, you do.
So.
They have quite a garden there. Now, this is one example, and there's just actually one other of this series that does not have a pocket. Does not have a pocket on it. But yet, I love the irregular shape. I love the fact that you actually folded this over so that we have a plane that kind of curves, you know. Again, very strong with the the stripes.
A lot of stripes.
Very
I'm very
horizontal.
drawn to stripes. I'm still figuring that part out, but there's something about it that I
But it
just
feels
can't-
natural, I'm sure.
It does.
And
yeah.
that's probably what makes
Yeah.
the best artwork.
I
It's
also
something that
wear a lot of
becomes
stripes,
natural.
so.
Becomes natural. And this piece here, I will say that I looked at other installations of this piece and saw the green. So I knew which way was up.
Oh, good.
Because in this case, you really can't tell which is up and which
Yeah,
is down.
the drips I think
And-
maybe help with that. But
Yeah, well, and I
They're
also,
subtle.
I know that one of the artists that you really do like is Helen Frankenthaler,
Yes.
who was one of the first artists, the abstract expressionists, to stain, quote
Right.
unquote, her canvases. And there really was. She worked, I'm sure as you did, circular all the way around the painting. There was
Yeah.
no top or bottom until you came to the finished part.
Right, yeah.
But this one, there's just this wonderful rhythm at how you got
Yeah.
these little
My
pockets
initial
together.
idea for this piece was to have flowers from the bouquet.
Uh-huh.
Like I knew my dad was gonna bring me a bouquet. That's just
That's,
so
that's what he
sweet,
does.
like, you know,
That's Dad.
But then my friend Barbie Perry, we usually go to Allerton near Champaign and look at the peonies together. Could not do that this year because I just have my son. So she brought me all the peonies from her house. So this is the peonies from Barbie. That was just such a beautiful gift and unexpected.
And it's funny because they're white peonies, but they become very ivory.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful
Yeah.
how they almost blend in, but when you get up there, there's all this texture then to what is really just a very plainer piece of fabric.
Right,
you
I
know?
agree,
And
yeah.
it just is, it's very exciting to me.
I
I think
the flowers make the piece.
Oh, it does, it does, and
Yeah.
it draws you in though, from when you enter the gallery and you see this down here, and you obviously, the orange border does
Yeah.
help.
Yeah,
But
for
it
sure.
just brings you have to come closer, and you have to examine,
Yeah.
and then when you realize just how many sets of flowers there are, it's really unique. And you
Thank you.
have a love for nature.
I do.
You do.
Yeah.
And
I
you-
grew up on a farm. I
You
was a farm
reference
kid.
it constantly, and,
Yeah.
and that's just part of your life,
Yeah,
isn't it?
we're outside all the time. My daughter, my son, he's taken a ton of outdoor naps,
Naps.
which I'm just, like so proud of. But yeah, we're outside a lot. We try to make that a priority.
Well, and for
with our
those that
life.
don't know, but their project, their 1612, is
Also
an
in the
art, what should we call it? It's
it's
not a gallery, but it's a performance opportunity, let's put it that way.
It's a
And
experimental
it
space.
started in a garage,
Mhm.
but then things grew.
Yeah.
You're meeting your
Grew
family
change,
and your
yeah, our
family, you know,
family.
and now you use the backyard. We've been there. You use
Yeah.
the backyard for performance. You
Yeah.
use part of the garage for literally a film
Yeah,
to screen
we
a
did.
film.
Yeah, our shed.
And you have so many things even planted among the plants. The
Mhm.
different things I remember with. Who was it?
Tiana.
Tiana. We
Yeah.
had these signs, the yard signs.
Yeah.
They were
Could walk through
all
the,
through the
the
garden, and
the
so
yard,
it just
the
was.
garden.
It only guided us, but made us contemplate what
Uh-huh.
nature and how important it
Yeah,
really is to everything.
absolutely.
This wall is our pink wall, and we didn't really do that intentionally, but for some
look good
reason
together,
they both
though.
they
You did a
really
wonderful
worked
job.
well together. Mostly
Yeah.
because it seems like this could have been part of that
Yes.
piece at one time.
This section and that section as well were actually pieces that I made, I want to say like 2019. So I'll do that often
Yeah.
where I don't know with some of this work, if I love it so much, I don't know if I'll actually make it into something new. But with previous work where I'm like, oh, I'm not 100% sold on
Yeah.
that, I'll take it and rework it
Well,
into
there are a
something
lot
new.
of artists that do that.
I
Louise
think it's
Nevelson
great.
was wonderful
Yes,
about that because she
absolutely.
would have an installation at MoMA or the
Yeah.
Met or someplace, and then when it came home, oh, I think I'm going to change it. And
Yeah.
Leonardo Drew just point blank tells his gallery, don't send it back to me because it won't come back to you ever in the same
No,
iteration.
yeah.
It's going to happen. And I think the other thing is it does make it timeless. You don't date any of your work specifically.
Yeah, we didn't add dates to this. Which is,
Because things are combined. And
Yeah.
and so this is
That's
much
true.
more of a history than this one.
actually, no,
Oh,
this.
this one is too.
This piece behind here I made in undergrad.
Oh, did
I
you?
made it of my grandfather's palm after he passed. I just remember him holding my hand, and so I have this piece and it's been sitting in my basement for years, and I finally have been trying to let go of it in a way and rework it into the other painting. So this one is like from 2009.
Isn't that great?
So-
No, but it's great because it gives it a new life and a
Yeah.
new meaning, and that we're in constant change
Yes.
all the time,
Yeah.
anyhow, in life. That one
And
is,
I love
it
that
truly
you
is
said
the
one.
one that does not have,
Mhm.
there are a lot of sewn material, but
Yeah.
there are no pockets.
There's no
There's no
pockets, for
pockets. I
sure.
couldn't
Yeah.
figure out. And this one didn't appear, but then all of a sudden I realized, yes, there
Yeah.
was a pocket there.
Yeah.
And so we have this, and I think in this case, I love how it comes beyond the
Yeah.
canvas.
I think I would like to do that a little bit more if in a future exhibition because I love the shadows
Yes.
it creates on the walls. And I also this one had flowers that were, besides here, these ones at the top were fresh out of the vase. And so they've dried since being here,
Yep.
which.
Well, and I also love the irregularity to this canvas. There's a couple, do you like doing that, or what dictates the shape of your canvas?
Sometimes it's what I have previously worked with, and if I want to change it, like this is from a previous painting, I can't tell you exactly which one, but I loved that it still had these creases, and once they're there,
You don't
I
touch
wanna,
them.
yeah, I mean,
You don't get the
it
steamer
feels-
out, do you?
yeah, no.
You never get the steamer
No.
out.
but I think in some other works it might bother me a little bit more that there's maybe so much creasing, but you just kind of got to work with
I know.
with it.
Well, and it
allow
seems like
to
they
be.
are, I don't want to say impulsive, but they just,
A little bit,
they
yeah.
start them on themselves, and
Yeah.
once you see something that works, you stop.
Yeah.
And speaking of stopping, we have to stop with these two
Yeah.
eclipses. Why do we have two pictures of an
Right.
eclipse
So the
in your
solar
painting?
eclipses,
Mhm.
I was pregnant during both the 2017 and the 2024. So the 2017 was with my daughter Finley. It was right at the beginning of our pregnancy, and then April 2024 I had my son a week or so later. So that feels very meaningful to me
Yes.
that I've got to have that
And I think it's fun,
experience.
because I will say that especially children will look at this and it's like, big black circle, you know, and it is so much different than the others
Yeah,
because there
yeah.
is this solid mass.
Right,
And
and I
you don't
love
have
that
that
they're
in any of
separate.
the other,
I love
and that's
that
why
they're
we did, and
separate,
that's, we kind of separate them for that reason. Now, you do
Yeah.
know you can't have a child for quite a while. It's like really gonna be a long time.
No, I hope, so I've never seen it in totality, so I hope that we will be able to, as a family, to do that. But it was really special to share that with her, with Finley specifically, and allow her to be part of the studio
and it's-
practice and talk to her about this
Yeah,
experience. And
it's
why
your
so important.
journaling though too,
Yeah.
isn't it really? In just
Sure.
a visual way rather than just writing out things
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes those are better remembrances possibly than
Yeah.
simply writing it
Writing.
down in a journal and closing the book. And I mean, these books are also just fabulous.
Yes.
People
Yeah,
love
this
them.
show means a
They
lot
love
to me.
Well,
being able to
Thank
go
you
through
so
it.
much. We have enjoyed it. We do want to say that you received a grant from the
Yes,
Illinois Arts
the
Council.
Illinois Arts
And we appreciate
Arts
them for all they
Partners.
do, and
Yeah.
Arts Partners, which administered the grant.
Yes,
And
thank you.
this has just been a wonderful, wonderful exhibition
Thank
and
you.
experience.
It's
So
been great.
thank you so much.